Hey, what's up, everyone? It's the Lemesis, your nemesis, but you can call me Lem. Welcome to Just Another Cheesehead podcast. We're making a second attempt at this one. The last episode just didn't get recorded. I feel real stupid. I was recording, talking, and everything, and I didn't do the proper checks. But this time we got it checked, the microphone checked. 1, 2, what is this? We are here for Just Another Cheesehead podcast, and we're going to talk about a little bit what happened last week leading up into this week. We're going to talk about the game with the Green Bay Packers. And today we're going to name the podcast I Don't Love You 300. I am Jordan Love. And I think that's very fitting. Very fitting because the NFL, oh man, how do I get this all out? The NFL can be really, really amazing at times and really, really frustrating. The NFL is a business, and they're going to do everything they possibly can to keep the business hyped, to keep things exciting. And when they do that, unfortunately, at times, the NFL will do that for the sake of logic, for the sake of reason, just to keep you hyped, just to keep me hyped, hopeful for the future. And that's one of the things that I think people naturally do when you watch sports, because it's always better to be positive than negative when you think about it. At the end of the day, these are real people, real lives. They're not robots. These are human beings. And the best thing we can do is support them, stand behind them, and be there for them, right? Unless they're not on your team. But unfortunately, you're listening to Just Another Cheesehead podcast. So if that's what you were looking for, you weren't going to get it here. Because like I just said, I don't love you 300. I am Jordan Love. That's a play on Iron Man. I love you 3000, right? And if you don't know, the MCU, Marvel. And Jordan Love, I don't care you threw for 322 yards. I don't care you threw for 2 touchdowns. You know why? Because I picked the Chargers to beat you, and they should have beat you, and you still barely put up 23 points against a defense that was out there giving it to you all day when they literally left 3 touchdowns on the board. So we're gonna go over the game, and we're gonna live in the world of reality, and we're not gonna live in the world of hype. We're not gonna live in the world of hopeful wishfulness, because the NFL is a smash mouth type of sport. At least I would hope for it to be. And we'll get into some of the comments we heard about with Tom Brady, which will lead into one of my biggest gripes about the NFL. We'll talk about that, but I want to start off today's podcast just strictly going over the game. So, Justin Herbert versus Jordan Love. I even hate saying that because it's the offense versus the defense and the defense versus the offense, but you know how it is. You got to take the 2 stars of the team, and I don't even know if you want to call Jordan Love a star. So it's really Justin Herbert versus, I don't know, you pick Rashawn Gary or you pick Clark, whoever, or Jair Alexander if he wasn't injured. But at the end of the day, Justin Herbert versus Jordan Love. Justin Herbert was 21 for 36. He had a great game. 260 yards, 2 touchdowns. He did not have help from the rest of his team. That was pretty rough to watch for him. It really was. Jordan Love, 27 for 40, 322 yards, 2 touchdowns. You would think he had a better game, but it should have ended in an L, 100%, and I'll get into that. It looks like overall total yards between the two, relatively even. 397 yards for the Packers, 394 for the Chargers. Passing yards, 295, 244 in favor of the Packers at 295. Rushing yards, 150 for the Chargers, 102 for the Packers. And they were roughly averaging 5.6 yards per play, the Packers, to 6.4 yards per play on the Chargers. And then interceptions thrown. No one threw any picks. The Chargers did lose a fumble. Penalties, there were a decent amount of penalties on the Packers, but they were kind of forgiving, 5 yards here, 5 yards there. There were 7 penalties for 46 yards compared to the Chargers at 4 penalties for 54. And total plays ran between the two teams, 62 for the Chargers, 71 for the Packers. And the third down efficiency was exactly the same, 7 for 14, 50%. And fourth down conversion, none of them converted at all. So the games are relatively even. Both teams end up 4-6. The first quarter, the Chargers get a field goal. Then the second quarter, things pick up. Both teams score a touchdown, but the Packers score an extra field goal. And then in the third quarter, Chargers score a field goal, and then the Packers a touchdown, but they missed the extra point. And then the last quarter, both teams scored a touchdown, leaving it 20-23. Now, the reason why I don't love you 300, I don't love you Jordan Love, and I'm not going to believe the hype. I'm not going to believe the garbage. I will give you this at the very least. I said that I wanted you to beat the Steelers, the Chargers, the Lions, the Chiefs. Giants are probably going to win. Bucks are probably going to beat us as well. We're probably going to beat the Panthers. Vikings are definitely going to beat us. And then, of course, the Bears still suck. So that's what was said a few weeks ago. A few weeks ago, I didn't even bother coming out with the podcast for the Steelers game because what's the point, right? I'm beating a dead horse at that point. We already know what Jordan Love is, what he's done, what he's accomplished, and we've seen who he's done it against. Now, I still expected the Chargers to beat us, and in my mind, they pretty much did. At the end of the day, the W does go to the Packers because the Chargers didn't really want to win that game at all. Justin Herbert was throwing passes that guys just didn't want to catch because the sun was in their eye. They were fumbling the ball. They couldn't wear the right cleats. It was actually quite laughable. And that's the biggest reason why I'm so frustrated with any Packer fan trying to go out there and pretend that what Jordan Love did with the Packers was special. Because that's not how it works in the NFL, guys. You're not going to have situations where teams just fumble and bumble and trumble down the field and you just stumble into victory. That's not what's going to happen week in and week out. You know and I know there's always games where, man, we just got lucky. The referee didn't call that false start. We were offsides. Things just fell into your favor. And this was the definition of a game just given to Jordan Love when he had no business winning it. You even saw it with Justin Herbert on the field, who's normally not an animated kind of guy, was so pissed because he knew that game was in their hands. Guys, we can win this game. Let's get out here and beat this bad team. They're so terrible. And again, here we go to the next week, giving the Green Bay Packers some life when they don't deserve any of it. What we just saw was the most mediocre W in Jordan Love's career. That was the most mediocre performance I have ever seen where people are going to rave and rant about how great Jordan Love is when he hasn't done anything. Let me show you how badly Jordan Love or how mediocre Jordan Love is. You know the rank for the Los Angeles San Diego Chargers? I don't remember. Los Angeles. They used to be San Diego. You know the Chargers are ranked 31st in the league on defense. 31st. You heard me. They've allowed 28 touchdowns. They've allowed 393.6 yards per game. The only team better than them or worse than them are the Broncos. They allow 400.1 yards per game and 30 touchdowns. So, you have to understand that Jordan Love did this against a team that's worse than the Chicago Bears. The Bears are ranked at 25th, okay? So let's not sit here and pretend that Jordan Love is a world beater when all he did was go out there and play against an awful team that's probably going to be losing their head coach in the next few weeks. If they're smart, he should already be gone. So I don't love you 300. You are Jordan Love. You haven't done anything. I'm tired of taking these mediocre games against mediocre teams, and this is a team that I thought should beat us anyway because I thought Justin Herbert was going to outshine and be so dynamic that he would overcome their terrible defense. And honestly, Justin Herbert did do that. Justin Herbert did outshine this terrible defense that was on the Chargers. And his wide receivers let him down. Multiple drop passes, fumbling of the ball. I mean, they gave up 3 touchdowns. 3, guys. They should have had over 30 points when we could barely muster up 23 points. 23. So let's continue to look into the Chargers here, okay? So the Chargers, defensively, let's look at them. They're ranked 25th in the league when it comes to, let me see, what do we got here? And points allowed per game. 25th. 25th in the league with points allowed per game. They of course, we went over their 293.6 yards average per game. Their defensive interceptions, their sack yards, they are atrocious. There's literally only 7 teams better than them or worse than them in the league, including the Bears when it comes to this stat. So I don't want to sit here and bloviate again about how great the Chargers really are or how great Jordan Love really is when he hasn't done diddly squat. They've allowed 238 points this season, ranked 25th. 238. Get out of here. This team was trash, and they still should have won the game. I just want to point that out. They still should have won this game. And this leads me to a big thing that came up, and I'm glad I waited because we wouldn't be able to get this clip. A big thing that came up by all people, someone I really don't like, by Tom Brady. And Tom Brady had a clip of a lifetime, and he was on Stephen A. Smith's podcast, and he just let it rip. And Tom Brady, I don't really like Tom Brady at all, but I have a lot of respect for his opinion on this because, in honesty, I've been saying this for a very, very long time. The writing's been on the wall. Ever since the collective bargaining agreement in the NFL, where they lowered the amount of time that they would practice and made things less mandatory, once they made all those changes, man, and we'll not even talk about all the rule changes, the league got incredibly soft. And I think that's the reason why I'm so hard on players like Jordan Love. A lot of you guys who listen to me and don't give a rip or disagree with my opinion don't understand where I'm coming from. And this is where I'm coming from. I don't think I'm that much older than a lot of the people who are listening to this, and maybe I am. But I watched football that was tough nose, hard to the ground, pounding in your chest, dudes getting knocked out regularly. Now, I don't want to see anyone get hurt. I don't want to see anyone get injured, but that's a part of the sport. We don't want to see anything malicious. We don't want to see anything that's ridiculous, right? We don't want another, what was it? The situation with Brett Favre, Bountygate, right? They had bounties and they were trying to go after Brett Favre's head and rip it off. That was excessive. That was ridiculous. I don't condone that kind of violence. That's insane. But let's not act like football is not a violent sport. So we're going to play this clip and then we're just going to rip. So let's get started. I can't believe I'm agreeing with Tom Brady on something.
I think there's a lot of mediocrity in today's NFL. Yeah. I don't see the excellence that I saw in the past.
Why not? Why not?
I think the coaching isn't as good as it was. I don't think the development of young players is as good as it was. The rules have allowed a lot of bad habits to get into the actual performance of the game. Mm-hmm. So I just think the product, in my opinion, is less than what it's been. I look at a lot of players like Ray Lewis and Rodney Harrison and Ronnie Lott and guys that impacted the game in a certain way, and every hit they would have made would have been a penalty. You hear coaches complaining about their own player being tackled and not necessarily, why don't they talk to their player about how to protect himself? We used to work on the fundamentals of those things all the time. Now they're trying to be regulated all the time. Offensive players need to protect themselves. It's not up to the defensive player to protect the offensive player. A defensive player needs to protect himself. I didn't throw the ball to certain areas because I was afraid players were going to get knocked out. Mm-hmm. That's the reality. Wow. I didn't throw it to the middle when I played Ray Lewis because you knock him out of the game, and I couldn't afford to lose a good player.
Wow. There was a lot being said right there, and I can't agree with Tom Brady anymore. And That's the reason why players like Jordan Love, I don't really have respect for. That's why all these QBs that come and go, we get amped up about Carson Wentz. We get amped up about Sam Darnold. We get amped up about, Jared Goff and all these other players, and they haven't done anything in the league. And what I'm seeing is exactly what Tom Brady's been seeing. And to be honest, Tom Brady benefited a lot from the changes that occurred. And I'm sure you guys don't even have to, you wouldn't have to question that at all. You guys clearly see that. Multiple changes were made after his injury when he was out for an entire year. Even Aaron Rodgers benefited from it when he was tackled and his collarbone was broken and he was out for the remainder of the year. At that point, a rule change occurred again. So you're seeing stuff like that happen on a regular basis in the league, that the NFL likes to keep their players upright, specifically their quarterback and their position players, the specialty players. And it's turned into a flag football league. It's turned into, in my opinion, college football. And that's the reason why players like Jordan Love, I don't believe in you, because you're just a product of the mediocre college football atmosphere. And we're trying to pretend that you are a NFL pro, starring close to elite or worthy enough to even have a starting position for a team like the Green Bay Packers, when you aren't even close to what we should be expecting when it comes to excellence. And what I'm noticing is that the standard in the NFL has changed, and this is not the standard. When we had Aaron Rodgers starting for the Green Bay Packers, I was just as vehemently against Aaron Rodgers starting for us, just as I am for Jordan Love. The difference between Jordan Love and Aaron Rodgers is that Aaron Rodgers shut me up. He shut my mouth closed, and he did it from go. This season is nowhere near in comparison to the season that Aaron Rodgers had his first year. We already went over the numbers. Okay, we went over the first 5 games of the season. We went over how great Aaron Rodgers was, his QBR. We went over his passer rating. We went over the yards. We went over the touchdowns. We went over the interceptions. We went over for not just the first 5 games. At the time, we did the first 5 games, but we looked at his stats for the overall season. And we're 10 games in for Jordan Love. 11 games. Well, he had the bye week, and he's not looking like that guy at all. He's performing okay against mediocre to terrible teams, and then when he plays a team that's legitimate, they get stifled. And I'm just tired of hearing the excuse of giving this guy more time when literally he's had 4 years sitting on the bench behind Aaron Rodgers and he's done absolutely nothing. And then you see somebody like CJ Stroud who's coming out looking like a champ, and he didn't need 4 years sitting behind a QB. So I think what Tom Brady is saying is dead on, that these guys aren't getting developed, and maybe there is a better version of Jordan Love, and maybe that version of Jordan Love is just not being coached enough. He's not available enough because of the new collective bargaining agreement. I don't really care what his reason is. I just know he's not that guy. Now, he's not that guy today. I don't think he'll be that guy next year. But it doesn't mean he can't work on his craft, because we've all seen it. We see Kurt Warner. He went and played in multiple leagues. He went over, played in Canada. He played for a few different leagues. I think he even played arena football. He did a lot of things, and he came back and he won a championship. Then he went to the Super Bowl again against the Pittsburgh Steelers when he was on the Cardinals. They lost, but he's a Hall of Famer. That does happen, but it's not often. So you expect me to believe Jordan Love's going to be that guy. Again, the odds of us having 3 Hall of Fame quarterbacks back-to-back is extremely rare, and I don't think this guy has the makeup, and I don't see it. I don't believe it. He's had all this time to get ready for the spotlight, and this is the best that he's been producing. He's wildly inconsistent, and I'm not going to jump on the bandwagon of just anytime he does anything good, you just assume that this guy is on the up and up and he's rising. We all know in the NFL that there's plenty of quarterbacks in the NFL who clearly have games where they look fantastic. I mean, I keep bringing this up. You guys can't forget Matt Flynn. You can't forget all the other quarterbacks who started for us when a player was injured, who came in and looked pretty decent. Hundley had games where he looked good. But where's Hundley now? He's out of the league. Where's Matt Flynn now? He's out of the league. Now, granted, Matt Flynn's probably just old. And Hundley, he's getting up there a little long in the tooth as well. But my whole point is, if these guys were that dude, they would be in the league dominating, starting on a team. What we're seeing right here in Green Bay with Jordan Love is just strictly Matt LaFleur and Brian Gutekunst. They're just stuck on making sure that this first-round draft pick pays off. You know it and I know it. Because they don't want to be the idiots that said we pushed away Jordan Love and then a couple years later, we pushed away Aaron Rodgers and then a couple years later we got rid of Jordan Love. They don't want to do that. So they're going to do everything they possibly can to get you to believe in the BS until it becomes so obvious. Then we just kind of move on. That's what they're going to do. So they're going to force this kid. You know they're going to force this kid. As long as Matt LaFleur and Brian Gutekunst have jobs in Green Bay, Wisconsin, they're going to work this kid as best as they possibly can and ride him until he basically shows them again and again, time and time after, he's just not that guy. And he's shown you guys enough. So I don't know where we got this idea that you need to play mediocre football year in and year out, over and over and over and over and over again. We saw what happened with Carson Wentz, guys. Like, look what happened to Carson Wentz. They win the Super Bowl with Nick Foles, then he comes back, and then the very next year they get rid of him after his injury, and he's done. Now, you could say the injury, you could say a lot of things because that happened to Robert Griffin III, but if Carson Wentz was that guy, I promise you he would have stayed on the Philadelphia Eagles. And now they got Jalen Hurts. So my point is, I'm not going to sit here and look at Jordan Love doing this to awful teams so bad they're second to worst in the entire league, and they still should have lost that game. I'm not going to sit there and give him praises and try to, I heard the stats. Jordan Love threw for 300 yards, the most since Aaron Rodgers since 2021. Stop it. Did anyone want to talk about what happened in 2021? Did you forget? Oh, yeah. We won 13 games that year with Aaron Rodgers behind center without him being injured. So going back to 2021 and saying we haven't done it since 2021 just means it's because Aaron Rodgers wasn't required to throw for 300 yards. Why? Because Matt LaFleur tried to create a scheme where we were going to actually run the ball more, which, to no avail, didn't really work out. We still relied on Aaron Rodgers, but Aaron Rodgers just had to be more efficient. He had less opportunities to throw the ball because he wasn't required to do that, which is what I want to see from Jordan Love, right? What I expect when a quarterback comes into the league is to have the makeup like a C.J. Stroud. C.J. Stroud is in the league, and this kid's a rookie. He's never once been in an NFL team, and this is his first year. He is throwing the ball all over the lot as a rookie because the team believes in him. The coaches believe in him. Matt LaFleur don't believe in Jordan Love. When you see the passes that this dude is passing, these dudes are wide open. That's an indictment on the defenses we're playing. We're not seeing dimes being dropped when men are covered. We're not seeing Jordan Love hit dudes on the stride. Yeah, we're seeing a couple passes to the end zone. I will give Jordan Love this. The best passes I've seen from Jordan Love is in the red zone. He throws dimes to the corner of the end zone. That's about it. Every other pass this dude converts is dudes wide open, and then they catch the ball, they stumbling, they're rolling on the floor because he can't hit dudes in stride. His accuracy is terrible. And unless dudes are wide open standing in the middle of the field, that's the only time he's hitting these dudes. And even when he hits those dudes, he's still off. So you telling me after 4 years playing on the practice squad, you still struggling with that, and you telling me game time's going to make him better? Nah, son, this is where we totally disagree. Because C.J. Stroud ain't struggling like that. So unless you're trying to make me believe that Jordan Love is Kurt Warner, which we all know ain't the case, miss me with that stuff. Completely miss me with that stuff. So, again, let's stop trying to lower the standard. Let's stop trying to make the standard of excellence just look like, oh, we just want to be nice to these guys. No, bump that. These dudes get paid millions and millions of dollars, or if not, hundreds of thousands of dollars. right? If you at your job and you ain't doing a good job, if you are doing a poor job at your job, you get fired. You get warnings, couple more warnings, and then you get canned. But you ain't getting 100K. You're not getting 300K. If any of us were getting 3, 4, 5, 600K, and then we did a bad job and we got fired, I'm sure we wouldn't really give a rip. So this dude is making $11 million this year. Over the next year, I'm pretty sure it was this year when they signed that contract. Jordan Love is set for the rest of his life. So if his butt is hurt because some Just Another Cheesehead fan is talking trash about him, then he needs to tighten up. Because to me, there's no way you look at your performance. There's no way you look at the Green Bay Packers performance and Matt LaFleur as a head coach and Brian Gutekunst as a GM and think that this is acceptable and this is legit. Because it simply isn't. So I'm tired of the hype of trying to get excited about something that's worthless, right? My whole point was, what are you going to do to your next opponent, right? So, yeah, did you beat the Steelers? No. Did you beat the Chargers? Yeah, you did. But we already knew the Chargers defense was suspect. But that's fine. You did overcome. But you got the Lions in 2 days. You got the Chiefs on the following Sunday. And then you get a break with the Giants. You guys know what's going to happen on Thanksgiving. I'm just letting you know right now. The Lions are beating the brakes off the Packers. And the Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes are pissed. The only thing that's stopping those teams from actually beating us is barring injury. I always got to throw that out there. If the Lions have some injuries that are outrageous, then yeah, we win in that game. If Patrick Mahomes ain't playing and they have some injuries on defense, then yeah, we're winning that game. But that's not the point. You got to beat teams in their full strength. This is the prove it time, right? If Aaron Rodgers beats a weak team, nobody's questioning that because Aaron Rodgers has proved it time in, time out. If Brett Favre is doing that, he proved it time in, time out. If Joe Burrow isn't, no one's caring about Joe Burrow because Joe Burrow's proven he can do it. I don't think Joe Burrow's all that great, but he's proven to be good enough to beat teams like that. He brought his team to the Super Bowl in like his first 2 years playing for the Cincinnati Bengals. So that makes sense. Jordan Love hasn't done that. Okay? So I don't want to sit here and continually give this dude excuses, and you shouldn't either. And I don't want to hear all this nonsense from these weak-ass Packer fans talking this smack, acting like we got to just, we're all winners. Nah, son. We're not all winners, okay? Some of us are winners and some of us are losers. And right now he's looking like a loser. And if he doesn't want to be called a loser, what's he got to do? Win. You looking worse than Tim Tebow. And I like Tim Tebow. At least Tim Tebow brought his team to the playoffs. So do better. If you want to prove me wrong, prove me wrong. Go out there and prove it against a team that's legitimate. Go out there and beat the 49ers. Go out there and just prove it to me with this. You got the Vikings. You got the Chiefs. And you got the Lions. Beat all three of those teams convincingly. Show me you improve. But you're not. What you got left on your schedule is you're probably going to lose. You're going to lose against the Lions. You're going to lose against the Chiefs. We have a chance against the Giants. That's game. We win 5 games there. The Bucks, we probably going to lose against the Bucks. We can beat the Panthers. That's 6 games right there. Then we play the Vikings. We lose that game. And then we play the Bears. Then that's 7 games. Originally, if we beat the Bears and we beat the Giants and we beat the Panthers, I originally picked the Packers to go have predicted 7 wins. I got this junk written right now. You can go to my very first podcast. I predicted 7 wins. As the season went on, that went down. So in the end, I've changed it. I've adjusted. But then in the end, I predicted 7. I still don't think we're going to win 7. I'm going to go with what I said last time. We're going to win 6. But if we win 7, hey, my first guess was right. But again, this team isn't good enough. Jordan Love isn't good enough. And let's not act like the teams we've actually beaten are legitimate. Okay? The W's we actually have are what? We beat the Bears. Whoop-de-doo. How many wins does the Bears have this entire season? Let's go check that out. So the Bears this whole season. Let's see. I should just pull up there. Let's just look it up. Bears record. Hold on. Man, just tell me the record. All right, they 3-8, guys. 3-8. The Bears are 3-8. It's terrible, guys. It's terrible. Now let's go back and let's look at the rest of the teams we beat. So we beat the Saints. I give you the Saints. To me, that was a fluke. Derek Carr got hurt. I can't forget the specific details. It's so funny to me because that's how people are with our team. You know, everyone wants to dog our teams of old, but I remember the specific details. I know why we didn't win against the Seattle Seahawks in that NFC Championship game when we had that onside kick and Bostic got in front of Jordy Nelson and Bostic the ball up on his head, didn't catch it. All we needed was Jordy Nelson to catch the damn ball, and we going to the Super Bowl. But is that what happened? No. But, you know, people don't want to talk about that. They don't want to talk about the details. That's fine. So we beat the Saints 17-18 only because Derek Carr was out. Then the Raiders beat us, the Lions beat us, the Broncos beat us, the Vikings beat us. And then we beat the Rams because Matthew Stafford was out. So then it's like, that's all I'm saying, man. Like, look at the teams we beaten. So the Rams couldn't do anything on offense. And then Justin Herbert, offensively, that's a team that can really light up the scoreboard. But them dudes weren't catching the ball. So if you want to give them one game, okay, we beat the Chargers. The Chargers didn't have a winning record. They weren't fantastic, but I knew they were much better than us. So it's like, come on, guys. Play a team that's legitimate, okay? Don't come to me talking about when you beat the Giants. Don't come to me talking about when you beat the Panthers. Don't come to me talking about when you beat the Bears. And honestly, don't even come talking to me when you beat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The Bucs have a losing record as well, right? The Bucs record, these dudes are, let's see what they are. They're 4-6 also, right? The Falcons are 4-6. The Bucs are 4-6, and the Panthers are 1-9. And the Saints are in first place at 5-5. So all three of those teams are in contention to win the South. It's a pretty close race. Even the Packers are technically still in the hunt. So let's just stop it there. So even if we somehow beat the Bucs and we end up with 8 wins, whoop-de-doo. You guys know the league is not the way it used to be. It's mediocre. I'm not changing the goalposts. I'm just pointing out the facts and the reality of the situation. Mediocrity is exactly what I agree with Tom Brady, the way the condition of the league is, and that's for many, many reasons. For the training camp, the CBA, all types of things, coaching, and seeing college football slowly merge. And then our standard is just so lower and so subpar. And then, of course, all the rule changes, making it easier for the offense to just go out there and shine, making it harder for the defenses to play. But at the end of the day, Jordan Love is not it for me, and I don't think he ever will be. He can prove me wrong. He can be better. I just don't see that in his future. And to me, before we got into Week 11, I just think this is really important. Before we got into Week 11, Jordan Love was ranked number 24 out of all 32 teams. He was ranked 1 above Zach Wilson. Okay? And he had 9 games for 58.7% per completion, 2,009 yards, 6.7 yards per attempt, 14 passing touchdowns, 10 interceptions. That's what, and 4 fumbles and 2 rushing touchdowns. So he was ranked 24th last week. Okay? Let's not talk about CJ Stroud. Let's not talk about these. Even Joshua Dobbs was ranked higher than him. So it's like, come on. Sam Howell was ranked higher than him. So it's just like, come on, guys. This CJ Stroud's ranked number 5. He was ranked number 5 last week, and they won again this week. So I'm just telling you, man, your peers matter. How you compare to your peers really matters. And if you guys are legitimately thinking that he's that answer when you're clearly seeing excellence, you're seeing excellence with Patrick Mahomes, you're seeing excellence with CJ Stroud. Like, these guys know how to play the game. Joe Burrow and Josh Allen. You know, I like Joe. Joe seemed like a cool dude. He seemed like a dude I would have grew up with. That's why I like Joe. When it comes to playing, he went and took his team to the Super Bowl. They couldn't protect him. I still don't think he's that dude. But he's not Jordan Love. He's not terrible. He's just okay. I got to see more. Josh Allen, these dudes are all hype. Lamar Jackson is just like one hit away from just his career being over. My gosh, because he's amazing. He's extremely fast, extremely talented, but, it just never translates into W's when the playoff starts. So, a lot of these guys that we try to crown this year, especially, since Tom Brady's left, and now we got Aaron Rodgers, and he on his way out. I mean, this dude, I wouldn't be surprised he come back and get hurt again. So it's just like, the great ones are gone, and we're left with these mediocre punk kids, and the only guy who's in there who's like legitimate, showing great quarterback play is Patrick Mahomes. And then you got weak dudes like Jalen Hurts out there. He's atrocious. And he's out there playing with the Eagles, and the Eagles think they're legit just because they winning, but they're not winning because of Jalen Hurts. They winning because the defense and the run game is spectacular. So, and they pushing and stuff, but Jalen Hurts is so mediocre. You just imagine how many points they would score and how they would dominate if they had a Tom Brady or an Aaron Rodgers on their team. Put Patrick Mahomes on the Eagles, it's lights out. So it's just like, come on, guys. Let's just stop. Let's stop. So I don't want to expect mediocrity here. When you listen to Just Another Cheesehead podcast, just remember that we're going to tell you like it is. We're going to keep it 100. And I don't love you, Jordan Love, and you haven't shown me enough. Do better and be more consistent. And I'm not going to get into the hype. When you show me a legitimate game, when you come out there and you dominate, I'll give you the credit. Because I talk trash about Aaron Rodgers, and you hear me loving on this dude. So I'm talking trash about you. It's your turn. What are you going to do? Are you going to prove me wrong? Am I going to be – because I'd love to be proven wrong. I would love to have another Hall of Fame quarterback leading us down the field, dominating, taking us to championships, winning a Super Bowl. I would love to say Aaron who. But I know that's not going to happen. So – hey, this is Just Another Cheesehead podcast. I thank you guys for listening. If you're watching me on YouTube, make sure you like and subscribe. If you're watching me on Twitch, hit me up with a follow. I greatly appreciate that. And as always, if you don't know the Lord Jesus Christ, you should get to know him. It'll be the best decision you ever make in your life. Look up a prayer, ask God to come into your life. It'll be the best decision you ever make. I'm the Nemesis, your nemesis. Again, this is Just Another Cheesehead podcast. Peace, love, and hap. I'll catch you guys. I'll try to, hope you guys have a great Thanksgiving, and I hope you enjoy this time. I know it could be hard for some people and their families, but I pray you guys all have a wonderful week and enjoy this holiday season. And I'll catch you after the Thursday game. Maybe we'll if I get some time to stow away, I'll make another podcast so we can discuss what happened on Thursday. Peace, love, and hap. I will catch y'all later.